Now, as you can see your results on your profile report, I wanted you to notice that there's a link up here at the top to PE Profile Guidebook. And so I want you to realize that that's a link to our guidebook that's going to walk you through all kinds of information. If you've reviewed that in the beginning, I want you to return and review that again now as you have your report, because there's going to be information that you're going to find that's very key there. You do have a PEP score here that you can notice, your total PEP score. And then down the left-hand side, you're going to see a number of different categories, and those are all listed out for you alphabetically. And we're going to go through that as well. But let's click into this link over here to the guidebook and see if we can be able to have you see what comes up for that. So this page here that comes up is an electronic guidebook. And this is going to have every bit of information from getting started to taking the profile, everything to understanding and understanding the glossary items. So I want you to click on the Understanding Your Profile link. And then this brings up an area of resources for us here. So I want you just to be aware that we've identified everything here, and I'm going to talk you through these things here in just a minute. I just want you to realize there's quite a bit of information here in this particular area. Just want you to be able to know where you can find this information. This is everything that I'm going to go through here in just a minute. And then we've also got a glossary area as well that's linked from this gold bar as well. So that's going to be the two areas that we're going to talk about today, are understanding your profile and the glossary area. Okay, we have your profile report, and you know now where your electronic guidebook is. What we're going to do is I'm going to walk you through understanding your profile report. So there's a couple things that you need to understand language-wise that we use, depending on whether or not you've been on our skills calls that we do weekly. These are free skills calls that we do every week. You need to be able to be plugged into that. Or if you've played the residual income game, either of these things you've probably heard our language, but for those of you that haven't, we talk about personal effectiveness, and we call it personal effectiveness points, or PEPs. It's called PEP, PEPs, personal effectiveness points. And so I want you to understand that, because what you're going to see is you're going to see a PEP score up at the top of your report, and that's your cumulative score. Down the left-hand side, as I mentioned a minute ago, we've got an alphabetical listing of all the skills that we have assessed you on, that we've asked questions about, and now we're giving you a dialogue about whether or not you have an area that you need to work on or an area that you fully understand. Being the area that you work on would be red, an area that you fully understand would be green, and somewhere in the middle is going to be a yellow area that's in development. Now, this doesn't mean that red is bad or green is good. That's not what we're implying here, but we do want you to understand that this is not like any other test or assessment you've ever taken. This doesn't predict and put you into a box. This actually helps you to develop areas that you do need to understand more fully if you're going to create better results out of your business. If you have a desire for a higher level of performance, you're going to need to have a higher PEP score. You're going to need to have more of these areas of red starting to turn into yellow and green areas. Doesn't mean you're going to get rid of those areas entirely, because there's still going to be some areas of development. We are constantly working on improving ourselves. So I don't want you to feel bad about the coloring or how it turned out on your report. The thing to notice is that we have a sequence of things that we need to go through and fully understand in order to get the most out of this. And that is, there's a success pattern that's been in the industry for a long, long time. And it's basically be, do, have. And all it really means is I need to be effective before I can do anything, before I can actually have any of the results that I desire. It seems pretty simple. Be effective first, do the activities, and then I can have the success inside my direct selling business. Now, that's not something we created, but it's something that we're teaching you here how to work with it so you can actually fully understand how this applies to your report and sets your daily actions. So let me break this down for you. There's an area inside the Understanding Your Guidebook where it talks about PEP scale. And I want you to understand that we teach the PEP scale. We divide the be, do, have out into a couple of different pieces, and it's listed there for you inside of that guidebook. But very, very simply, it's this. The first step you're going to work on is improve yourself. And that's going to be your first 30 PEPs. So 0 to 30 PEPs is first step, improve yourself. That's where you're going to work on your beingness, becoming effective, and being able to then do the activities that are necessary in order to build this business. Now, step number 2 is build a team. And that's a PEP score of 30 to 45. So if you're in that range, you're actually in the build a team phase of building your business, and that's where your activities are going to be really highly focused on prospecting and building your customers and your associates to be able to come and build your team with you. That's step number 2, is build a team. And step number 3 is become the leader and duplicate. And the key piece here is understand that this comes about at about 45 to 70 peps, and that's going to be something that you're going to grow into. Now, as we talked about step number 1, improve yourself, step number 2, build a team, and step number 3, become the leader and duplicate, we don't leave these phases behind. So I never stop improving myself, I never stop prospecting, and I never stop becoming that leader. But here's the thing you need to understand is that as you work through this phase of development, your focus is going to first be on you, second be on the prospecting and the activity to bring the right folks into your organization, and then third, teaching those people to be able to first improve themselves and build a team more effectively, because you're going to teach this duplication cycle around. So as you understand these 3 phases and where they fit, 0 to 30 points, if you are in that phase, that's going to be, you're going to be in that first B phase, that first area of improvement. And as you look at the second phase, it will be, there's some information there in the Understanding Your Guidebook that will guide you through the activities that you're going to want to do for that prospecting focus of business if you're in step number 2, building a team. And then we've also broken it down for the third phase, the become a leader and duplicate, and your activities are listed there as well. So all the information is here in this resource for you, and you're going to be able to reference that and be able to see what your business should look like, and also what are the daily activities that you should do. And based on your score, your PEP score, you're going to know which phase of business that you're in. And there's a real big caution here, is that understand that there are certain things that you do in different phases and other things that you're not going to focus on as you move along. Now, for instance, I run into people all the time who have some effectiveness, like they've worked in a business and maybe they've been a manager or a salesperson, so they've got some high personal effectiveness, but when we start to assess them as far as their business skills and their business ownership and being able to build this business, they might have some things that have been missed. And so I want to caution you that even if your score is higher, I do want you to review through all 3 of those phases and make sure that you haven't missed some of the critical development that needs to be underneath you. Imagine if I was building a house and the concrete had holes in it, certainly wouldn't be as strong as if I made sure that all that was firm and everything was ready to go. I could build as high as I wanted to on that. So I do want to make sure that you're understanding to read through those 3 phases that are in there in that guidebook. Understand them first for yourself, and then second, because most of the people that you bring in your business are going to be in some of those early phases of development, unless, of course, you're lucky enough to get a real power person that's ready to go, that has all the effectiveness ready to apply to your business. So just remember that this is here for you. It's here to guide your activities. Understand how to build it in order, in sequence. Be patient, and most effectively, you're going to want to make sure you set realistic goals for each of these phases. Otherwise, you're going to be frustrated trying to do higher level of effective activities and not have the ability to be able to pull that off because your business is not ready for that at this point. So just be aware that the information is there. Notice the PEP scale, notice your own activities, and that's going to help to guide you into how to take action next.